You a baddie on a budget, you've never learned how to do your own hair, now you're ready to start BSing. That's why I made this video. Let me know if it was helpful. Give me your feedback in the comments. So what you're gonna need for the parting process, get as many clips as you can. And scrunchies if you have them, but make sure they're not snagging on your hair. And you should already know to make sure you got that thing on you. And if you can, have a backup. And your setup, you either want to be in your bathroom if you have medicine cabinets that can fold open. Baby, they used to be such a blessing back in the day. I know they had those trifold things. Get you one if you need one. What I have right now is my full-length mirror going against my other full-length mirror. Unless you got a friend to help you, you know, you gotta do make do. You gotta do make do. I think that's everything you really need. I'm not the one to really add any gels or extra stuff to it. Like, we're about to keep this in for months. I'm not about to cake it up. Makeup can cake up on day one, so why would I even? No. The first part you're going to start at is ear to ear, but we're gonna go in halves. We're gonna do one side at a time. You don't necessarily have to have your middle part quite yet, but kind of helps. That way you know where to meet. I'm gonna take the rat tail comb and bring it against, bring it against my ear. And once I can't go anymore, that is where my starting point is gonna be. You see how it's at an angle? It's aligned with my ear. I'm gonna go straight up with this and keep pressure on the rat tail comb. That way it keeps it at a straight line while also being at an angle. And you're gonna see exactly what I mean in just a second. Just keep the pressure down on the rat tail, because once you meet at the crown, you see that? I know it's not a perfect line, but you can always clean it up after. This is just a personal preference. If you like a straight line up, do that, boo. Do that. For some reason, I just really like having it at an angle, especially when it's time for that half up, half down. The parting system just looks so exquisite to me. I'm just gonna start right there. I can't see my crown right now. Did I get all the way to the crown? By the time you tell me, baby, it'll have been too late. I'm gonna clip this. Then we're gonna go to the other side. And again, you're going to take the rat tail comb and let it hit against your ear. It's gonna give you that natural angle that you need. Apply pressure down on the comb and keep the pressure down as you're going up towards the crown. Keep the pressure, keep the pressure, keep the pressure. Get to the crown. Good Lord, girl, all this hair. All this hair. This is not. Oh, okay. I'm like, that is not what I was trying to explain. This is what it looks like. I have no idea what this side looks like, but I feel like it's pretty clean. Because I'm doing it on myself, I don't care. It's clean enough for you to think someone else did it. I don't know if the crown has connected. The best advice I can give you is take a video real quick or a picture at the crown to see if they meet or not. And you can always feel it too. They definitely don't meet. They're probably close, but they don't meet, or it's probably like not straight. Before you let go, grab onto the back section and put it away. That way it's not trying to mesh with what you just did. Like, you worked so hard on this perfect angle. Trust me. Nice and clean now. I'm joking. So now that that is finito, I recommend starting in the front. The front is going to give you that clean foundation. That is how you can figure out where to place your parts in the back. I've always called this system, this parting system, the mullet system, where it's business in the front and party in the back. So basically you're doing rows in the front and you're doing free parts in the back. But it's not really free parts. Like, they're free, but they're not free. You're going to see what I'm talking about. First things first, we're gonna start with the middle part. Friend, I know you might not like a middle part, but this is going to be the foundation to make sure everything is even. You're gonna have your side part and you're gonna have your deep side part. You're gonna get that. This is universal, I promise. No matter the size that you want, you're gonna get every single part that you want, whether it's the side and the deep side. You're gonna get them all. You're gonna get them all, I promise. Just let's start with the middle. I know y'all have seen every stylist on Instagram. They start at the nose. Again, you're applying pressure to the bottom. You see that's the only place. You can even see the shadow. That is the only place I'm applying pressure. And that pressure helps keep the tail straight. Start your part with the rat tail comb, but then clean up with the braider point. I'm just gonna do the same thing I was doing with the rat tail and apply pressure to the point. I think the biggest thing with this is keeping it straight, but making sure your hand is not making you skew left or right. So I can only assume this is as clean as it's gonna get. But once that is done, I'm gonna section this off and move on to the next thing. So we're gonna start on either side because I am doing large size. With that system, we're gonna go with 4 rows on each side. We're gonna start towards the middle, right where this temple area is. Now you're gonna line it up, kind of align with my nose if I'm being honest. You see the bridge and how it's parallel to the rat tail? I'm gonna apply pressure towards the end of the rat tail and go straight back. And then you're gonna see, is this even? Is the width what I need it to be? This end is a little too wide, so I'm just gonna go back to my starting point and just go a little more narrow. Okay. So I'm just gonna split it to make sure everything is how I want it. If you can't tell the actual width or size of that row that you're trying to pre-part, pro tip, twist it. You can like visualize what it's really gonna be like. And if you have to, go ahead and twist it and pin it so that you can really see. Same thing gonna apply here, smack in the middle, or as middle as I can depict, because I'm looking at it from my camera. I already knew this was crooked. This is exactly why we twisted up, to make sure everything is how we need it, how we want it. So all I gotta do is straighten it, and that should be good to go. Clip that over here, twist this side. And we good to go. And I'm gonna clip this. Next thing we're gonna do is the pyramid system. And this is where it gets a little structural. So it doesn't matter what size you do. When it comes to the front section, you're gonna do the pyramid system. And the pyramid system is from your starting row, it's always gonna be one part, one braid for that row. When you move on to the next, it's gonna be 2 parts, 2 braids. The next row is gonna be 3 parts, 3 braids, and so on and so forth. So I have 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That would be a perfect pyramid. I feel like that was something that we learned in math, maybe. Is my nerd showing? If you got baby hairs that you want to leave out, make sure you're leaving them out. Just don't forget it. So all I'm gonna do is 2 fingers in here, bop, 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 and try and center it as much as possible. And I'm going to braid close, but not so close. I want to leave just enough space so that the lock can go through effortlessly, but then I'm gonna braid tight in the beginning. The lock is locked in once I wrap it, so that then I'm gonna bring my fingers down to the bottom of my hair and braid loose. Typically, I wouldn't even be braiding. Some people like to make sure it's locked in and it ain't switching up on them. I am not one of those people. But as long as it's tight here, you should be good. The next one, don't even think about your edges. Like, leave the edges out. They're not part of the symmetry. We're just taking it and splitting the row down the middle because it's 2. If you feel like this is too big, add a 3rd one. But you're gonna see why I make my part so big, especially in the front. I don't like that moppy look. I don't like it being too full and then like you can't see my face. I also like to consider the thickness of each braid. This is pretty good. It's definitely not the same. This one is a little thicker, but this one is, you know, it has enough integrity. So now we're gonna braid. Another thing I would say, when you're braiding, make sure you're braiding down. Like, make sure the angle of the actual braid is downward. So when it's time to like wrap, it's not sticking up. We done seen some locks and the roots be sticking up and out, whether that's from wrapping too tight or the actual braid itself, or like the direction of the lock root don't align with the hair. Like, the hair be looking kind of bunched on one side. So make sure it's going down. As you go further up in your rows, the biggest thing is making sure you have a window system, literally a pyramid system. So making sure this middle braid here, so this is the 3rd row, which means we have 3 braids. Make sure that middle braid is right in between. So the parts for the 3rd row is in between, like here, for example, or like as long as it's not straight right here, because then it's gonna look gappy. It's gonna look like you a little bald headed, and that's not what we want. And remember, take your edges out. they don't count. And another pro tip, twist and clip away your parts once you're done so they're not like mumble jumble. And you see your parts and they're like M-I, crickler, crickler, I, So now it's time to move on to the bite. All right, so you finished parting and braiding the front. We have handled business. And now it's time to party. Doesn't matter what style you start with. We're gonna go in with the rat tail. And we're gonna use our rows that we've created and align them to the back. And let me show you what I mean by that. So you see how we have this row here, right? At this angle. Then we have the hairline here at this line. We want to align this with this. So what we're gonna have to do is start it here. Make sure you start it here. And then you're going to bring it down to the angle parallel to your hairline. And that's gonna give you a row. Mine ain't perfect. Don't judge me and I won't judge you. And that's why we're gonna clean it up. I got Journey in the back. She has her own special place on my scalp. So if you don't have a lock in the back of your head, of course you'll have extra room. Now that the parts are done, I'm keeping into consideration the sizing of the locks up front. If I were to keep the same sizing, this would be about 3 locks. 1, 2, and 3. And then just braid it up. Keep in mind, make sure them parts are proportionate. Dock to part ratio. Make sure it looks natural. Okay. Now I can just line up with this. Now that I have the parts to how I want them, I'm gonna go ahead and braid it up. I'm gonna do the other side and then we're gonna get to like the trivial part. The other side has been parted up, braided up. Now it's time to get tricky, sticky. So once you're done with the 2 rows, you're gonna end up with this big upside down triangle. What I do recommend you doing, starting from the bottom. So follow the neighboring parts and go up. Don't worry about where you're gonna stop. Then you're gonna do it on the other side. I lined it up with the very last parts from that second row. The parts that you just made, they're gonna meet up and they're gonna make this diamond. Boom. That is your base part, your base braid. That is the foundation for this pyramid. Go ahead and braid it up so that nothing else gets confused. And then from there, you're going to use the lines of that diamond to help you make rows. And put pressure and let it go straight up. And then you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Pin this away so it's not in my way. I'm gonna start here and get parallel. And you're gonna be left with another triangle. Pin away that triangle. And then you're gonna braid it up. And as you can see from where we're at to where we're ending, there's only 2 braids in the neighboring row. So I'm just gonna align it with that and call it a day. Once you are done with the 2 sides of the triangle, all you have left is a mini triangle. You're just gonna braid that up, you see? Very simple, very simple. And just like that, friend, you're all done. So I'm gonna make a whole new video for the installation part. This is gonna be perfect for anyone who just needs to learn how to start parting on themselves. And send it to the friend who's trying to learn, because I'm here to help. If you're watching to install your reusable locks, next video.